Let's cross over immediately to Kakamega, where the gubernatorial elections are ongoing, and listen in on what Wycliffe Okech has. Wycliffe, you can hear me. What's the very latest for us now?
Well, a very good evening to you, Tom, back in Nairobi. As you've rightly put it, we are coming to you live from Kakamega County, where the gubernatorial election that had been postponed twice actually today happened, and the 844,551 registered voters in this particular county actually took to the polls, got the opportunity to take to the polls and elect who is going to be their governor for the next 5 years. And as it's stipulated in the law, the polling stations opened at 6 a.m. as stipulated, and some of the majority of them closed at 5, except for a few less than 20 that extended the closure time by about between 30 minutes and 1 hour. And when I spoke to the county returning officer, Mr. Joseph Hayata, on that, he told me that so some of those polling stations that extended the closure of the polling exercise was occasioned by the fact that some of the schemes that were being used to identify the voters did not failed, and they had to be supplanted or rather replaced by others, and that took a bit of time, and that is the reason for the delay of the commencement of the voting exercise in those particular polling stations. Right where we are, this is Sigalagala National Polytechnic, which is the constituency tallying center for Shinyalu constituency. Remember, there are a total of 12 constituencies that constituting the vast Kakamega County here. Remember, Kakamega County actually is the biggest in in this region, actually the western region here, and you can imagine just 12 constituencies. And right now what's happening is that if my colleague behind the camera, Martin Kivuti, can basically show you what's happening in the background here, is that the returning officer for this particular constituency is receiving ballot boxes from the various polling stations. That line you're seeing at the entrance at that door here, there is it's a queue made by the presiding officers and their deputies as they queue there with the various electoral materials they are delivering to this center for to be received by the returning officer for this particular constituency, and where the results are verified and declared in the presence of party agents and the agents representing various candidates here. And that is what has been happening for the larger part of the evening since the polling stopped at around 5 there. And one thing more that if my colleague Martin can basically also just pan around and show you how smooth this exercise is rolling here. Remember, this is what is happening across the 12 constituencies that constitute the vast Kakamega County. Earlier on, I spoke to the county returning officer, Mr. Joseph Hayata, who said that by now nothing is really happening at the county tallying center, because the gist or rather the gist of the exercise right now is at the constituency tallying center, with the presiding officers and their deputies actually delivering those ballot boxes to be verified and declared by the returning officer here. There is also a smart board that is very clear to everybody to see. If my colleague here can also just pan around and show you the smart board there that is being projected to everybody that is within the room here to see and to see for themselves how transparent and smooth this exercise is. And something we also I can mention, like I've told you, the polling stations opened at 6 a.m. and the voting exercise went on smoothly, except for a few pockets of incidents of unrest. But then something that I have to mention is about the security issue that we noticed today across the county here. Remember, there were two security personnel guarding every polling station, and just additional officers patrolling around and within every polling center. Something that manifested is that the voters, immediately after voting, they needed to go to the various homes as indicated in the law, but then they just decided to to remain just next to the polling centers in what they claimed is protecting the votes, but then the officers were there to control every incident that could probably interfere with the voting process. And earlier on I spoke with the Western Region Police Commissioner, that is Paris Kimani, maybe to confirm if probably there was any sort of arrest regarding the security issue, but she mentioned that there were no any arrests that had been made by evening, yes. And also I spoke to the county returning officer, that is Joseph Ayata, saying that some of the claims of bribery that have been made by the various candidates, actually they were just claims, but then nothing was lodged with the IBC office officially. There was a case actually. There was some rumors or other claims on social media that one of the candidates vying for this particular seat, that is Cleophas Malala, who is vying for this seat on the ANC party, was being arrested. But then, before we made our way here, we went to the home of Cleophas Malala, and actually we found him there carrying the parallel tallying exercise. And Cleophas Malala hasn't been arrested and is well at his home. Like I've mentioned, what is happening right now is just that the returning officer for Shinyalu constituency is receiving ballot boxes from the presiding officers and their deputies, which are being verified and declared. Tom, something that I cannot forget to mention is about the low voter turnout that was reported. That is what was witnessed throughout the county here. When I spoke to the constituency returning officer, who is Joseph Ayata, told me that the elections that was conducted on 9th of this month, the turnout was about 60%. But then today, nothing close to that was witnessed. Actually, by now, like if I can mention, this is Shinyalu constituency, where there are 152 actually polling stations, and so far what has been registered is about 14 polling stations have been verified here and announced here. And just to paint a picture of the kind of race we are having here in Kakamega, remember there are a total of 7 candidates contesting to succeed the outgoing Governor Wycliffe Oparanya. Among those, 2 are vying on as independent candidates. We have Fernandez Barasa, who is actually vying for this seat on the ODM ticket. Like I've mentioned, Cleophas Malala is also vying for this seat on the UDA, or rather on the ANC ticket. And just to paint a picture of the kind of race we are having here in Kakamega County, is that by, like I've mentioned, there are 152 polling stations in Shinyalu constituencies, and so far 14 have been verified and declared. But then let me just, if I can go by 10, collecting 10, or rather accumulating 10 for all the 10 of the stations that have been reported here. Fernandez Barasa has 830, while ANC's Cleophas Malala has about 882 votes, the total of the votes cast there. That just shows you the kind of race we are having. You see, this race is spanning out to be between the ODM candidate and the ANC candidate. But then we'll be burning the midnight oil here just to take note of everything that develops here. And we right here, when we get out, when we leave this the Shinyalu constituency center, we'll be heading to Kakamega High School, which is the county tallying center, where we'll expect that all the form 37Bs collected at the constituency level will be taken to the county tallying center, where all that will be collected, and the county returning officer will prepare form 37C, which will be used to declare the next governor for Kakamega. Tom.
We're coming back to you, Wycliffe Okech. Wycliffe Okech, they're indicating that, low voter turnout. That seems to be a common thread cutting across all the repeat elections. Okech, before I let you go, I just want to make sure I heard you right. You mentioned that something failed for some time and it was sorted out. Would you just repeat that part? What was it? What was it that failed? I just want to make sure I heard you right.
Come again, please.
I just want to make sure that I heard you right. You indicated that there's something that failed for a little while, but it was sorted out. What was that?
Oh, okay. That's about the delay that happened at some polling stations. That you see, for the polling stations, the register they were using to identify the voters is the KIMS kit. Actually, when that failed, they had to supplant it with another one, and that is what was causing the delay at the polling stations, and that is actually resulted into extension of the voting period for those particular stations.
Thank you for that clarification, that they were immediately able to bring in other KIMS kits once the initial ones that they had set up failed. I want to thank you, Wycliffe Okech. We'll be coming back to you as you head to Kakamega High School, where the tallying center is now.